Question from Nanukilla. Could you talk more about how fair use is a defense in court, not a right? So this is a common idea that circulates among creators that fair use is actually not a right, and you can end up going to court regardless.
So let's unpack that a little bit. First of all, fair use is a right, not a defense, and don't let anyone tell you differently. But what does that actually mean in practice, right? So the law is pretty clear. Fair use is a limitation on copyright holders' rights. So in other words, you can exercise your rights as a copyright holder and you're going to run up into a wall, and that wall is free speech. And fair use grows right out of the First Amendment, and it's what makes the First Amendment compatible with copyright law. And otherwise, copyright law could be used as a form of private censorship, and that's what we talked about in the video. But that doesn't mean it's something that can be automatically invoked, right? What happens is if somebody gets upset by what they're doing, they bring a lawsuit and they say, hey, this guy or gal committed copyright infringement and they did 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 different things or whatever it was, and these are the reasons why it is copyright infringement. Then you answer that and you go to court and you say, no, it's not copyright infringement, it's fair use. So it's something that the defendant actually asserts when they go to court. That doesn't mean that it's a defense, not a right. The Ninth Circuit actually came out specifically and literally said fair use is a right. But the Supreme Court has said on a number of times that fair use is a bedrock principle in copyright because it's what makes copyright compatible with the First Amendment. And as such, it's everyone's right. And I want to get to another kind of what once was maybe a truism and is now more of a misconception. And it's a criticism that we used to hear a lot more with fair use, and we don't hear it now as much anymore because it's not as true anymore. And that is, fair use is nothing more than the right to hire a lawyer, right? Because it's indeterminate, you know, and nobody knows whether it's going to be fair use. It's a case-by-case thing. And that's actually not true. If you follow the rules that we outline in the video, or if you follow the statements of best practices in fair use that have been promulgated for a number of different communities, including documentary filmmaking, there's also one for online video, it's actually quite predictable. And once you know, some kinds of fair use are not that predictable, including lots of different kinds of fair use on YouTube. But some actually are pretty predictable, and that's what you want to do. And in that case, it's absolutely not fair to say that fair use is the right to hire a lawyer and nothing more, because it's actually pretty reliable.
Yeah, it's worth noting that fair use is used tens of thousands, many thousands of times every single day, and there are no cases coming of it. Like the cases that do come up are, you know, they're rare.
Yeah, they're relatively rare given how endemic fair use is to our entire system. It's you know, we wouldn't have today's culture without fair use. We wouldn't have a lot of personal expression that involves talking about or acting out cultural works. And, you know, also in many professional communities, fair use is now routine. Journalism, and there's a code of best practices for fair use in journalism. Documentary filmmaking, there's a code of best practices, and people are now able to make movies routinely that involve extensive fair use. They get into festivals, they get distribution deals, they get into theaters, they get on Netflix, they're broadcast over the air, even though they're making fair use very robustly, and they can get insurance for that even.